In my last long video, we explored the role of grief and guilt, which comes from being the product of hindsight bias and all of the quests that grief brings. And I'll link to that video after this one if you haven't watched that yet. But today, we are moving forward from that concept into how you can minimize the grief for those who know, admire, and love you when you pass. I see grief being fueled and exploited through all of the unknowns regularly in my conversations with grievers. This nuance of grief is so avoidable. I'm Jo McRogers and welcome to Grief Support That Works. Today's video is about grief in reverse. I will often hear from people how their great-great-great-grandparent died in their own home, in their own bed with their dog beside them in their sleep. And I have to admit that that sounds like a lovely exit plan. So if we had such control, I would say sign me up when it's my time. However, even in this natural good death, we still seek places to be responsible. So I will hear people saying things such as, if only I had visited that weekend, if only I had gone to that last doctor's appointment, if only I had counted the pill box, if only I had stayed longer on the phone. So many times grief results from us not knowing, did I get it right? What should I have done differently? And the grief stories that I hear from grievers in my private membership community and in my private practice, well, they sound like this. I am so worried that I didn't do it right. I wasn't prepared to have to make decisions for them when they no longer could have, either because of illness or because of medication. Would they have wanted this? Would they have wanted this life-saving intervention, the intubation? Should we have talked about medical assistance in dying? Would they have wanted the CPR? Would they have wanted to be in a medically induced coma? Would they have wanted organ donation? There are so many variables that invite in reflection about, did we do it right? Was it important to them to be at home in hospital or at hospice? Should I have signed that DNR form? Did they want to be buried or cremated or have a funeral or not, or a celebration of life or an open casket or music or no music? Did they have a belief about what happens after life that I need to honor? Let me know in the comments if you have experienced any of these questions in your grief. Please let's show one another how common this is through our grief experience by sharing our thoughts. The problem is, the less that those around you know, the greater the invitation is to guilt. And the greater the invitation to guilt is, the greater the invitation is to grief. Please tell your loved ones what you would want. Alleviate their guilt and grief from not knowing if they're doing it right for you. Also, please talk about this before you need to. Let's all accept the fact that we are all going to die. So please have these conversations while they are concepts, instead of needing to be talked about through a fearful or a panicked or a wholly emotional filter. Death isn't predictable, so please exploit that privilege of viewing it as a concept and let your needs and wishes and wants be known now. Pre-death planning allows you to communicate your final wishes with clarity. This includes decisions about your health care, about funeral arrangements, about the distribution of finances, and sentimental items. Please don't leave those around you guessing about what you would have wanted. Letting your needs be known will also reduce the potential for conflicts in families, and it makes the decision-making process easier for those around you. Knowing your wishes are being fulfilled can bring some comfort to those who are now missing you. And this is the one place that I do use the word closure. Knowing that your wishes have been fulfilled can close some of those quests that grief brings us. This is one of the aspects of grief that we can control. Conflict amongst family members is a constant theme for grievers because everyone grieves differently and everyone judges differently. So when you are still of sound mind and body, making your wishes known can save those around you so much grief. Making your thoughts and wishes known is an act of compassion. It's a selfless act that demonstrates your love and consideration for your family and friends' emotional well-being. By taking the time to plan ahead, you're giving your family the invaluable gift of peace of mind during a difficult time. It's a compassionate gesture that will be remembered and appreciated by your loved ones for years to come. Talking about our own death isn't an easy concept. And again, I ask you to do this before you need to actually consider your own end of life. It is such a gift that minimizes the grief. Please don't leave them with questions. Leave them with memories. I'm open to hearing any thoughts that this may have sparked for you in the comments below. I have considered putting together a compassionate pre-planning, grief-informed booklet for purchase. So please let me know in the comments if you think that this is something that you would be interested in. And as you make this thoughtful gesture to minimize the grief of your loved ones, I send you kind thoughts, kind words, and a kind heart. Thank you, and take good care.